I'm still liking New World. I think New World's fun really lies within the first like 50 to 100, maybe 200 hours. And after that, you start seeing maybe some more problems. For me, though, I have unique problems or issues with the game because I'm mainly a PvP player. So for me, I don't actually get into a lot of like the crafting, although I did max my Arcana to 200, so that's pretty cool. Or, you know, the PvE, like doing Genesis runs or like orb runs or, you know, stuff like that, or even like invasions too much. I'm really into, you know, world PvP, outpost rush, duels for gold, or just like 1vx situations out at a fort. That's why I play the game, and I think it's really freaking fun, right? But part of my frustration lies with Into the Void, this most recent patch, because mages got 17 nerfs, so 10 nerfs to the Ice Gauntlet and 7 to the Fire Staff. I made a forum post and I said, this is overkill, like don't do this. You know, if you want to nerf something, then, you know, do like 1 to 3 nerfs maybe, and then buff the stuff that's underperforming, you know? And basically they went ahead and did the 17 nerfs, and now mages feel like completely useless in like a 1vx, even a 1v1. Maybe not so great in outposts. Like if you queue up an outpost, it's gonna be all great axe hammers, right? I want to alt F4 so bad right now, man. Oh, there's another one. Great. Fucking great, man. Why? Why? Amazon, look. Every player is playing the same build because it's by far the best. Oh. And even, yeah, 1v1, a musket's going to own you. A bow's going to own you. A great axe hammer is going to own you. You're basically just going to get owned. So what are mages used for these days? Mages are used for AoE, right? And I think this triggers me personally because I've said this on stream a few times, but I think it triggers me personally because when I played WoW, my favorite thing to do in WoW was back in like 5-6 years ago was like deep freeze, you know, ice lance, one-shot combos, single target burst DPS. And then since mage had good mobility and single target burst, you could 1v2, 1v3, 1vx, and of course you were great at 1v1s. But at some point, Blizzard, so this isn't New World, Blizzard, and I'm talking World of Warcraft here, decided to make mage into more of an AoE spec. So instead of Frost Mage having deep freeze and huge ice lances, they gave it Comet Storm, which is AoE, and Ice Nova, which was AoE, and like Blizzard slows being a primary way to reset Orb, which was like more AoE-centric gameplay. And they got rid of the big single target burst, and they got rid of the stun. So they yoinked the stun, they yoinked the single target burst, and they left Frost Mages as an AoE class. And I just was really sad, right? Because all the stuff I like to do, 1v1, 1vx, you know, world PvP, got destroyed overnight. It's been like 5 or 6 years since that happened. It really sucked, and you know, to be honest, I'm still probably not over it. Like, it sucks. Like, I want old Frost Mage back in WoW. So fast forward to 2021, I start playing New World, and there's an ability called Heavy Freeze, right? Which is similar to like a Deep Freeze, and there's huge single target bursts, and you can 1vx out in the world, and it's so fun, and I got my love back, you know? It's like, I got super addicted, it's super fun, it's super exciting, and I get to play this really fun game where I can run around, be great at 1v1, 1vx. I have single target burst and mobility. It's a dream come true. You know what I mean? It's amazing. And then they nerf it 17 times in Into the Void. 17. It's hard to get over that number. 17 individual nerfs in the new patch, and it makes it feel like I can't stun anyone anymore because Heavy Freeze has a cooldown, and they nerfed the burst, so the burst isn't really there. And the only thing the class is good for is like AoE. So Pillar of Fire, Fireball, and Ice Storm on a node in an outpost rush or in a war. So I'm once again in that same position, triggering like, it's like some PTSD of like what happened in WoW. I had this great class with mobility and burst and stuns. And it was super fun, super enjoyable, you know? And then they just took away the stuns, and they took away the burst, and they gave it AoE, which isn't fun, right? Which isn't fun. And so that's how I'm feeling about New World, really. Like, I like the game. I love leveling. I love New World, and I really want it to succeed. It's like been the most fun I've had in a video game since I played WoW back in 2004. Like, I haven't felt this way about a game in so long that it gets me so excited, and to see the rug pulled on a spec like this just sucks. And once again, I'm not saying mage is like just the complete worst spec in the game. I would say Ice Gauntlet is the worst weapon in the game. Yeah, I would say Ice Gauntlet's the worst weapon in the game, but like, dude, you're an AoE spec. Like, you just drop AoE damage out of node over and over. I don't like that. That's not fun. And I mean, you could look at me and say, well, re-roll then, or like just don't play the game. And I to that I just shrug. I'm like, well, I don't want to play a great axe or a hammer or like, this is the class. I'm a mage. This is what I like to play. So I get the only other option would be to then quit, or to cross my fingers and hope they actually do something to make the game really fun and exciting to play again. So that's what we're hoping for. New World devs realize, okay, 17 nerfs is overboard. Maybe they need a stun to actually operate, or maybe they buff other things about it. I don't know, but I think one of the reasons it feels way too much is because Ice Shower is a 1-second route. Ice Gauntlet has the role-playing, or like the lore of summoning ice and utilizing freezing attacks that hinder and damage enemies. Like, the whole lore of the weapon is supposed to slow and root people. The only route in Ice Gauntlet is Ice Shower, which is a 1-second route. Frostbite roots for 1 second. You go to Musket, the trap, 3-second trap. Okay, it's like, okay, whatever. You know, maybe the musket has a longer CC. That's fine. You go to the Void Gauntlet. Petrifying Scream. 3-second root. Well, it's 2 seconds and then modified by Bone Chilling Voice to make it 3 seconds. It's like, okay, well, maybe the musket and the Void Gauntlet just have like a longer CC. Maybe that's fine. You go to Warhammer and you have 3 different stuns on the Warhammer. I haven't played Warhammer, so I don't know where they are, but they're multiple seconds, 3 different stuns. It's like, okay, maybe the Warhammer, the Void Gauntlet, and the musket all have more CC. That's fine. But then you go to the Great Axe, and the Vortex is 3 seconds, which pulls foes in, and they can't move. They can't move for 3 seconds. It's like, okay, well, maybe the Great Axe, the Hammer, the Void Gauntlet, and the musket have more CC than the Ice Gauntlet. But then you go to the Spear, and it has 3 different staggers as well that last multiple seconds. And then you go to the Sword and Shield that has a shield bash for 3 seconds. And then you go to a Rapier, which has a riposte for 2.5 seconds. And then the bow has the stagger from, what's it called? Evade shot that knocks your target down. And Hatchet, yeah, someone's saying it as Feral, it roots someone. If Feral hits a target from the back, it roots someone for 2 seconds. So my point here, what's so frustrating is every weapon in the entire game has a longer root than Ice Shower, and it's an Ice Gauntlet. That is frustrating. On top of that, the projectiles are very hard to hit, and they hit less. Like, Ice Gauntlet's one of the weakest PvE damage in the entire game. Ice Gauntlet with Ice Shower should be a rooting weapon. Like, why is it 1 second? You know? And then Heavy Freeze is also 1 second. Now this brings me to my next point. It's incredibly frustrating. With an Ice Gauntlet, the heavy attacks are longer than 1 second. They nerfed the heavy attack cast speed. So, if you root someone, say this guy hopefully doesn't move. If I root him, he moved, and I go for a heavy, he can move out of the root before the heavy charges. Once again, the root lasts 1 second. The heavy is longer than 1 second. So if I land my 30-second cooldown 1 second root, I still can't land a heavy to root them for 1 more second because the heavy is longer than the root. So the whole weapon is fundamentally broken. So that's what's frustrating, right? A lot of people have been asking, like, why are you frustrated? That's why. It's an Ice Gauntlet. It is some of the lowest PvE DPS in the game. The root is the lowest out of any other weapon. I think that the only exception might be Life Staff. I don't think it has a root, or Fire Staff. I don't think it has a root. So, like, one of the weakest roots in the entire game when it's an Ice Gauntlet. The heavy attacks are longer than the root itself, and it just took 10 nerfs. That sums it up. That sums it up right there. I had something in WoW, it got taken away. I find it again in New World, I'm loving it, and it got taken away. And what it's replaced with is just an AoE spec. Another problem with the Great Axe, or with the Ice Gauntlet, is that it has no strengths, right? Like, against Great Axe Hammer, you're gonna lose. Like, you should lose against a good player. Like, they have all the tools to run you down and take you out. Your abilities are doing not enough damage on too long of a cooldown, so you'll just lose, all right? So against melee, you get owned. So then you might think, okay, well, what about dex weapons? What about like a bow or a spear or musket or something at ranged? You also get owned, right? Like, it's not good at ranged at all. Like, I challenge you to beat a bow player with an Ice Gauntlet. Good luck, right? Like, I challenge you to beat a musket player with an Ice Gauntlet. Like, it's not gonna go well for you, right? So yeah, you get owned from range and you get owned from melee. So it makes the weapon have 0 use cases, and that's something else that's pretty frustrating, right? I don't want to sit at a node and spam Pillar of Fire. Like, that's cool. I could do it a couple times and maybe even have fun a couple times, but what I want to do is be able to duel in 1v1, 1vx, stun people, burst. That's fun, right? And if you're thinking, well, bro, you're not supposed to be able to 1vx as a weapon. Well, if you fight a bunch of noobs, you are. You know what I mean? Like, in Counter-Strike, if it's a pro versus 3 noobs, the 3 noobs are gonna get owned. You know, like, in a lot of games, if you are a pro and you have multiple noobs come up to you, you should be able to own them, right? That's not the case right now. Like, I could have 3 Great Axe people, like, spamming left click, and I would just get run down. There's nothing I could do about it. Nothing. Even if they're, like, first week on the game. And I'm not saying the nerf Great Axe. I'm saying let's buff the Ice Gauntlet back to where it was, or even a little under where it was. Like let some of the nerfs go through. But anyway, those are my thoughts on New World from a PvP player's perspective right now in Into the Void.